When we hear the term storytelling, we tend to think of charismatic speakers telling stories on stage, or Hollywood movies, or best-selling novels. But there is actually so much more to storytelling than just telling stories. Ultimately, storytelling is about shaping the stories that people believe in. And in this video, I'm going to share a quick example of what I mean by shaping the stories people believe in, to show why storytelling is so important for leaders in particular. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jamie, a leadership coach and trainer, and author of the book, The Story Habit: How Leaders Shape Stories That Drive Action. In my videos, I talk about leadership tips for communicating, influencing, and boosting productivity. And if you're interested in learning more about the story habit, then you can download my free Story Habit Story Guide by clicking the link in the description below. And by the way, if you find this video insightful, I spend many hours producing these videos every month, and a like and subscribe would really make my day. Thank you. Stories are how we navigate the world around us. And there is a bit of science to this. For example, if I say to you, e, this means absolutely nothing to you. It's just noise. But if I tell you those sounds are the vowel sounds for the sentence, we see stories everywhere, then the next time you hear those sounds, e, your brain layers the full sentence over the incoming noise. In other words, you no longer hear the noise, you hear the story. In Lisa Feldman Barrett's book, How Emotions Are Made, she calls this theory simulation. The idea of this theory is that we don't experience reality as it is. Instead, we simulate it. Because reality is just noise. Think of all the sensations around you right now that you aren't aware of. Background noises such as the hum of an air conditioner or passing traffic. The sight of individual textures, colors, and pixels on the screen you're looking at, and the feeling of your clothes and the air around you. Our senses are constantly bombarded with noise, and if we paid attention to all the noise, we'd just be overwhelmed and never get anything done. So the brain looks for familiar patterns in the noise. So when you hear e, your brain finds that similar to the full sentence, we see stories everywhere, and brings that sentence to your awareness instead of the noise. Anytime you see something that isn't there, such as walking into a room and thinking someone's there only to realize it's a coat on an armchair, this is your storytelling brain simulating reality. Anytime you are daydreaming and accidentally walk into a wall because you are so lost in thought, this is again your storytelling brain simulating reality. This is ultimately what storytelling is. It's about shaping the stories that people use to simulate reality. When we think of storytelling in this way, we can see its true potential. But let me go a bit deeper here with a little story to show you just how this works. Gather round and settle down as I transport you back to a time when things were simpler. Watch all of those things around you fizzle away as you find yourself in a small, peaceful village. You share this village with a dozen or so other families. You all work together to provide for each other. One family provides crops, another provides cows and chickens, another makes clothing. A few meters away is a beautiful, clear stream that provides everyone with drinking water. Everything you need to survive and live happily is in this village. And that is why no one has ever felt the need to venture into the forest that surrounds it. That forest is so dense with trees that it is known as the dark forest. Nothing good happens in the dark forest, and nothing good comes from it. When you were small, a little boy you grew up with named Try one day ventured into the forest out of curiosity. He never returned. The whole village mourned Try's loss for months. Every so often, bandits come from the forest to steal from the village. Sometimes the villagers fought them off. Other times, some of the villagers were killed by them. When you grew up, you would always hear stories from the elders about the bad things that happened to people who went into the dark forest. They would be eaten by dragons, or swallowed by trees, or carried away by giant eagles. Every few months, the whole village would celebrate a birthday by singing songs about how the village has allowed them to live for another year, And every night before going to bed, you and your family would express your gratitude to the village for allowing you to survive and live happily for another day, and pray for its protection the next day. You had a happy and safe life in this simple, peaceful village, until one day a strange man stepped out of the dark forest with a sack of delicious-looking fruits. The whole village gathered around to hear what the man had to say. "My name is Try. 30 years ago, I left this village as a small boy." The villagers let out a collective gasp. Try's elderly parents stepped forth with tears streaming from their eyes. "Is it really you?" "It is I," said Try. "I bring with me gifts and a message to you all that there is a big, wide world out there with so much more to offer you. Please accept these fruits in exchange for letting me share with you tales of the wonders the world has to offer." I share this fable in my Story Habit workshops and ask people to reflect on what the village and dark forest represent in real life, and how Try could persuade the villagers to go with him. My participants tend to share that the village represents people's comfort zones, and the dark forest represents the unknown. The stories we use to navigate the world are always about things we are familiar with. These stories tend to be about the people we spend time with, the work we do, the society we live in, the way we live our lives. But when we experience a change in our lives, for example, we move to a new country, we start a new job, or we go through a divorce, the stories we had don't help us navigate the world anymore, and we need to learn new stories. This is the unknown, and people generally prefer their comfort zones to the unknown. Whenever you are trying to change people's minds, you are essentially trying to convince them to leave their comfort zones and go in to the unknown. In other words, you are asking them to go somewhere they don't have a story for. This is where storytelling becomes valuable. And the framework you can use to successfully change people's minds through storytelling is my Relate, Challenge, Resolve framework. I go into this in a lot more depth in my other videos and my book, The Story Habit, so I'll just give you a very quick overview here. Firstly, when trying to change people's minds, always start by relating to them. It's natural to jump straight to challenging their beliefs and pointing out how boring life is in their simple village and how amazing the world is out there. But if you jump to challenging too soon, they will reject you. Instead, start by relating. Enter their village, learn what their beliefs are, learn what's important to them, learn what they are concerned about. As you speak to them, do your best to reflect these back to them. And a key sign that you are relating is that whenever you say something, they nod their heads. That nodding head is a sign that you dived right into their story and you truly understand them. Once you've done enough relating, you will get permission to challenge them. Start by gently pointing out how this village doesn't serve them, and how there is a big wide world with so much more to offer them out there. But remember, you can't successfully change everyone's minds. Only some people. For the elders in the village, it might be too dangerous to venture out into the big wide world. But for the young and curious, they may be hungry. So focus your efforts on those you are most likely to successfully persuade. Then, finally, resolve their barriers to action. Challenging is about changing people's minds, their beliefs, but it is not always enough to get them to take action. So resolving is about giving them a step-by-step action plan to safely guide them through the dark forest and out into the big wide world. Relate, Challenge, Resolve is a powerful framework that has so many applications for leaders. If you'd like to learn more, download my Story Habit Story Guide, which you can find in the description below. So in summary, storytelling is ultimately about shaping the beliefs people use to navigate the world. And you can successfully do that by first relating to their beliefs, before challenging them, and finally resolving their barriers to action by giving them a step-by-step plan. I hope you found this video useful, and if you could give a like and subscribe, that would help me please the algorithm gods. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.